Howdy folks, Chris Bodine here, fisheries biologist for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Thanks for joining us today. If you're new to fishing, just beginning, or you want to take your kiddo fishing and teach them the great sport of fishing, this is the video for you. If you haven't seen some of our other videos on sun fishing or pan fishing or how to help you and your kiddo catch a bunch of fish in a short amount of time, I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel and check those videos out as well. In those videos, we talked a lot about how to catch those fish and how to do it easily. In this video, we're going to talk about how to set up our fishing pole, specifically how to install our bobber and how to install or tie on our fishing hooks to our line. You may have figured out by now that there's about a dozen different ways that you can tie your hook onto your line. It can be quite overwhelming if you're not an experienced angler. So what I'm going to do is show you guys just a couple basic fishing knots that I think every angler should know, and I think they should be appropriate for just about all ages and experience levels. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so the first knot we're going to be learning today is called the Palomar Knot, and I've just grabbed a hook here, and I've actually grabbed some heavy green line just so that you can see it. You can use any line that comes on your fishing pole. Obviously this can be tied with any line. This end right here is going to be coming off of our fishing pole, so if you can just imagine that. So the first step here is to take the end of your fishing line and just bend it over, okay? Create you a small tiny loop, and you're going to take that loop and feed it right through the eye of your fish hook, okay? So you're gonna wanna pull it through enough to where you have enough room, okay? Don't pull the end out there. So you wanna have enough room for you to be able to tie a half hitch. This is the same technique you would use to tie on your tennis shoes. So you're just gonna loop it around. See if I can keep holding my line here. You're going to loop it around, and you're going to take this loop and just go right back through like you would your tennis shoes, okay? But instead of cinching it down, you're going to take this end and feed the fish hook through it, okay? Can y'all see that? So I've stuck the fish hook through that, and now I'm ready to start pulling it tight, okay? Now what I like to do is I like to make sure all of the fishing line ends up at the top of the hook, so it really creates a really tight knot. And you're gonna have a hard time pulling here because you've got this sharp hook. So what I like to do is I like to take my pliers or something that can engage or hold the tip of that hook, and I start cinching it down. And as I cinch it down, it is going to pull tight against itself, okay? Can y'all see that right there? Okay. And then the only thing left to do at that point is to take this excess that we had. Again, this other part's coming from our fishing pole. Take this excess and just simply trim it off. And there you have it, the Palomar knot. All right, so the second knot I'm going to show you is going to be what we call the Fisherman's Knot. And this is probably one of the more popular and well-known knots. Same concept. I got this line over here, and it's coming from my fishing pole. So this is the end of my line, okay? So what I'm going to do now is take this and feed it right through the eye of the hook, okay? And I'm gonna leave myself enough room to work, so I'm gonna pull it through just a little bit, okay? And I'm gonna grab it, okay? Squeeze both ends with your finger and just simply twist the hook. 1, 2, 3. I like to give 4 twists, and you can see this little loop right here that is created after the twists that occur. Now you take the open end or the loose end of your line and just simply feed it. Now you're going to create a secondary hole right over here, so use your middle finger here to kind of grab a hold of that line. You're going to feed it through, and then you notice it creates another loop here that I'm holding. You're just going to go right back through that second hole that you created, grab it, and you can let go of everything except for the end and the hook. Now what I like to do is I like to grab the line and start to kind of work it together. Now the interesting part about this knot is that as you start to pull, it tightens itself, okay? And it's gonna cinch down, and then I like to work it down with my fingers, pull on it, and again, I'm going to use my pliers so that I can really give this thing a tug, and I just start tugging on it and tugging on it and tugging on it and getting it good and tight, and then use my pliers or a knife or a pair of fingernail clippers work great for this. And I just trim off the excess, and we have ourselves a fisherman knot. All right, so we just learned two basic must-know knots, the Palomar knot and the fisherman's knot. Your choice to use either one of them. The last thing we're going to learn today is how to install our bobber. I'm going to go ahead and take it off this line so that I can show you how to put it back on. They're a little tricky. They've got a little contraption in here. All you got to do is squeeze this top part and this little bottom hook comes out. Can you see that when I squeeze? So basically you squeeze that to expose that bottom hook, and then all you do is take your line, give it a couple wraps around that hook, and then release the button. So now you have the bottom side on, and you notice the hook is upside, or the bobber is upside down. Now this time you put your thumb over top of this hook to block it from coming out when you push the button, and this time you just push the edge of the button to expose that hook that's inside there. So once we hold down on the bottom with our thumb, expose the top hook, and we give it a little wrap, and voila, our bobber is installed, just like that. All right, now we've learned two basic must-know fishing knots, and we've also learned how to tie on our fishing bobber. We're ready to go catch some fish. Speaking of catching fish, I would encourage you to check out some of our community fishing lakes. There's over 900 of them throughout the state, many of which are probably right out your back door. You probably just didn't know it. Head on over to the TPWD website to be able to check out all the information about the different options that you have available to you. You have so much opportunity to catch various species, from bass to catfish to sunfish, crappie, sometimes even hybrid striped bass or even trout, depending on the location. Community Fishing Lake is basically a lake that's less than 75 acres. You don't need a boat. There should be plenty of shoreline access. I'd encourage you to get out and give it a try. And if you haven't seen any of our other videos, we also have another video that talks about all of the different community fishing lakes and what they're about, the rules and regulations, how to fish them, where to go, and what opportunity is available for you. I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel for sure and check out those videos. Also, head on over to the TPWD website for any other additional information that you need to know. All right, if you like this video and you found it helpful, go ahead and leave us a thumbs up. Also, feel free to leave some comments down in the comments section. Tell us what information might help you become a better angler or help you catch fish or improve your experience. We'd be happy to produce those videos for you. But in the meantime, I'm Chris Bodine, fisheries biologist for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, reminding you that life is better outside.